Hello and welcome to part 6 of the Jeep tutorial series. This is David Ward, and when last I left you we had got in and added the windshield and the basic frame. There's a few more things that need to be done with the frame before we can call it good to go, namely the bumpers. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started on that. Let's go ahead and tab into edit mode and let's go to our top view, go back to orthographic, and looks like our frame needs to come slightly in, so let's go ahead and select some of those vertices. Control L, we'll move that a little bit inwards there, so about like so. And then probably, since the main body is kind of kind of curves and tapers out, let's do the same thing on the front. Let's deselect what's there. I'll go ahead and drag this out a little bit, and oops, maybe about like so is probably good to go. All right. Okay, so now the bumper. All right, let's go to our top view again, tab in edit mode, and this time we'll go ahead and we'll use a plane this time again. Go ahead and put our 3D cursor over here away from the middle. Go ahead and say plane, scale that down. I'll drag it over until it meets in the middle. There we go. Glue those two together. And now let's go ahead and drag this back here, scale it on the y-axis so it gets a little thinner. And tell you what we can do also with the frame here. Let's go ahead and select that the very end of it. Go ahead and extrude that out just a bit. Then we're going to go and scale it on the x-axis, and maybe add one more loop there, just so we have a nice. Maybe get those. Let's turn off our proportional fall off, proportional editing. Scale that to where those are flat edged there. And tell you what, let's go ahead and add a loop around these two guys as well. We had one around the other edge, but not on that part. Okay, so that's good. Now we'll have a place to bolt our bumper on. Go ahead and drag that here. Let's go ahead and grab the edge there. Drag that out. And let's take a look at some more reference there. See what the bumper looks like. That's a good one right there. Let's go ahead and zoom in there. I said zoom in, didn't really zoom in too well, did it? Control mouse wheel gets that done. Basically just a square that's kind of tapered off on the edges. Not bad. Control 0 zooms back out. Go ahead and minimize that. And I guess it kind of looked diamond shaped to me, but now I can see it's just basically a curve. So we'll just do that like so. Then we'll add a loop around this edge, add a loop around this edge, and why not one right there on the end, and maybe one a little closer in here. And grab these guys and move it this way. Straighten it out. Grab that guy right there. Grab this whole thing. Straighten that out. SX0. Okay, so now we have the top of it looking good. Also want it to look good from the side and from the front. So we need to go ahead and grab that. Since this wasn't part of the original solidify modifier, we're going to have to solidify it ourselves. So we'll just extrude that down like so, and then go ahead and add a loop around the bottom and a loop around the top. Okay, so now we have bump. Let's make sure it's going to be the, actually it's a little too far down, so let's select that part of it, Control L, move that up, and looks like the frame could probably come up a little bit too, so let's go ahead and select that, Control L, go ahead and move that up. And it looks like the top of the bumper's right there, so that's good, but the frame needs to come up a little more. Okay, so let's select, go to our side view, select this, make that a little smaller, and now we'll tab out. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Might be coming out a little too far. No, this looks about right. Okay, so let's go ahead and duplicate that bumper to the back side. Just going to Shift D, just move that back. It's kind of hidden underneath the gas can and the spare tire there, so we'll kind of just have to look here. So let's rotate that 90 degrees on the what happened there? Oh, okay. I just have part of it selected. There we go. I was like, what's going on? Okay, so we'll Shift D, duplicate that, rotate that actually 180 degrees. There we go. So it's facing the other way now. And let's look at the reference for the rear bumper. It might look a little different. Let's go back there. And let's just say rear bumper. There we go. And it does look quite a bit different. There we go. It doesn't actually have the full bumper like we would think. It's basically a bumper underneath the edge of the bed with a couple little round bumpers, I guess, that come off of it. So let's do that. Okay, so it's basically there. Okay, minimize that. Let's go ahead and drag this, go to our side view, and we're going to go ahead and grab this down here, move it to the end of the frame. Go ahead and grab the frame piece too, because that needs to come in. And we can see we need to go ahead and move this part of the frame, at least. If I can select the right vertices. There we go. And I think I selected part of the body on accident. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we'll drag this down about to there. Alright. So now we need to go ahead and add those extra little curve thingies, whatever they're called. Let's go to our rear view. Maybe that'll give us a... Do we have a rear view? Yes, there we go. Put our wireframe. I'll tell you what, let's tab out. And let's just hide the Jeep there so we can see what we're doing a little better. Okay, so they're kind of rounded out, and then they have little tapered edges on there. So unhide it. There we go. And it looks like it's coming through the bottom of the bed there. We don't want that. Let's go and drag that down a little further. Or at least this guy. Make him a little shorter. Okay. Good to go. Let's go ahead and just add... I'll tell you what. Let's tab into edit mode, of course. And we'll grab one of these faces. Or I guess one of these whole edges there. Maybe grab just this guy here. That whole shebang there. Go to our side view, Shift-D, duplicate that out. Now we just have these freestanding faces there. And we can rotate those until they're facing inwards. Go ahead and drag those till they're meeting. Oops. There we go. Extrude that out. And this will be our little rounded area. I'm going to go off of the shape of the gas can here. It's not going to be completely accurate because, as you can see from our rear view, Control 1, the gas can is going to be a little bigger than that shape. I'll drag it out. You can see it's a little bigger. So we'll about 3/4. So let's go to our top view again and go and extrude that out on the y-axis. Then I'm going to hold down Control, and that's going to give us that curved extrusion, like so. Let's go on the x-axis to zero that out, or to flatten that out. Go ahead and extrude this out down to here, about 3/4, right? And then we'll do the same thing. Hold down Control until we get a nice rounded edge there. And extrude that back down on the y-axis. Go to our side view, back to solid view, and that looks not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to add a loop in here, just so we get a nice flat edge there. Another one over here. Oops, wrong spot. Undo that. Control R, add a loop there. And now Control L. Now we'll move that to where it's actually on the bumper area. A little bit further, maybe. And maybe a little smaller on the x-axis. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Alright, now one more thing to do with the bumper area. Remember I said we're going to go ahead and put a radiator in there so it can kind of block the open holes in the grill. The easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and add another... Okay, I keep forgetting it's mirrored. Go ahead and add another loop on the frame right there behind the grill. We're going to grab these faces here, just those ones on the sides. Like so, okay. And go to our front view, go and extrude those until they meet in the middle, like so. And then we can just go ahead and delete what's selected. And we'll add a loop to where it's coming out nicely. There we go. And tell you what, let's go ahead and flatten that out. So we'll grab these edges here, drag those down until it's nice and flat on the top and bottom of that extra little piece there. And we can make that a little smaller, because it's not actually part of the main frame. It's kind of just a bridge between the two edges. We'll just scale that a little bit smaller and go to our front view and make sure it's going to come up behind that grill. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now looks like our bumper back here might have the normals incorrect, so let's go to Control N. Control N. There we go. There we go. Like I said, anytime something's a different color when everything else is, you know, pale and that one's dark, something's wrong. Looks like we got a little bit of something wrong up here on the hood. It's got an edge on there. Maybe just add a loop. Okay, that helped. All right. So the radiator, like I was saying, this could actually be its own piece, but why not? We'll just go ahead and add it in here now. Tab into edit mode. 3D cursor still over on the side. Good. Add another plane. Let's rotate that 90 degrees on the x-axis. Scale it down. And we'll go ahead and drag it there where it will go behind the grill. And just kind of just arrange it. We're not going to make it actually like a radiator with all the little woven metal and all that stuff. We're just basically just going to make just a black piece here, just to, you know, just to hide the lack of engine in there. Since we're not actually doing an engine, we want to hide the fact that there's not one there. Okay, so we'll need to go ahead and add the extra loops. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just do like we did on when we were making the dashboard. Going to select the inverse. So I'm going to Control L, make sure everything on that radiator is selected. Select the inverse. Go ahead and hide that. Now I can work exclusively with the radiator and not have to worry about fussing with all that stuff inside there and trying to get around it. So we'll just sharpen that up, and now we have that as just a hidden piece where you can't actually see the engine. Now you can see it through the headlight holes, but once we get headlights in there, you won't be able to see through those either. So one thing that looks funny is let's go ahead and unhide everything. Select one of those pieces of the radiator and then part of the bumper. It looks a little off color, so I'm going to go Control N, flip those normals. There we go. Want everything the same color. Since we haven't had added any extra materials yet, we shouldn't have any differences of color at all. Okay, so if we go to our perspective view, you can see things are starting to look a little bit better. Okay, so we're coming right along, finally. 6 parts in here. We should be. So now let's go ahead and add the seats. So let's go to our reference here and just take a look at these basic seats. Let's see, Willys Jeep seats. And they're basically very, very basic. Just rounded pads with a pipe frame. Easy enough. We can use our Bezier curve again to make that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to our front view. We're already there. 5 to go back to orthographic. Let's go ahead and turn off our blueprints there on the front. Go to our wireframe. Actually, go to our top view. So we need to find out where we're going to start. Put our 3D cursor right there. Looks like the edge of that seat's going to start right there. Go to our side view. Let's drop that down to about right there. Okay. Now I'm going to Shift A, add another Bezier curve. Tab into edit mode. Select it all. Rotate it to where it's kind of facing up. Tell you what, let's go ahead and turn that blueprint there off as well. Okay, so I'm going to grab this point, Shift S, selection to cursor, so it pops it right on there where the sheet seat should be started. And this time I'm going to scale that way down, actually scale it all the way down to 0. And I'm going to grab this point here, and actually let me undo that, scaling that to 0 because it looks like it was arranged the wrong way. So let's scale it on the y-axis 0% and then scale it down a little bit. Maybe rotate this one 90 degrees, a little bit more. Hold down Shift, you can see the rotation down here in the corner as I rotate it. So if I hit the R button to rotate, hold down Shift, you can see that right now it's 6.9, 7, so I can get that until it looks perfectly even. I can actually scale that on the y-axis 0, or z-axis 0%. There we go, and scale it down. And let's drag that down and just start modifying this curve until it looks more like it should. So let's turn our blueprint back on just so we can see where the seat needs to start going. Looks like it needs to come here, so we're going to extrude this. It's the same as extruding a mesh, except it adds the handles to it, so we got to scale that back down. Maybe grab this point, scale that down, drag it forward a little bit. So we want a nice rounded curve there, rounded corner. We're going to do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and drag this all the way up to the top. Rotate that like so. And tell you what, let's go ahead and turn our fill to full and go ahead and give this a bit of thickness there so we can actually see what we're doing. Instead of just that one line, we can actually see the pipe curve frame of the seat. So we'll go to our front view now, and we'll go ahead and turn on our front. I guess we can't see the seat through there, so let's look at our back and see if we can see that through there. We go ahead and hide the actual frame there. Nope, can't see the seat from there either. Maybe the top view. Yeah, there we go. Oh, now Alt hide. Go to our wireframe view. There we go. Tab back in edit mode. Grab the end of that curve. Go ahead and extrude that. Go ahead and come to the middle. Rotate that so we can get that nice little rounded bit there. Drag that some. Go ahead and extrude this out. Tell you what, I'm just going to do half of it. I'll go to our side view, drag that up. And I'm going to add a mirror modifier to this by itself, so we only have to do half the seat. Then we can just copy that over. Okay, so that's a good half of a seat. In real life, they actually have support bars across the bottom too, but we won't see those at all, so we don't really need to do them. But I would like to drag this point all the way down to where it goes through the floorboard. If we can, actually might have to just extrude that out. There we go. Scale that 0% so it doesn't have any handlebars on it. Drag that up so it's a nice straight shot there. Good to go. Alright, so this is looking almost like I want it to. Good to go. Alright, so now I'm going to add a mirror modifier to that as well. Actually, okay, I wasn't for sure if you could do it to a curve, but apparently you can. Now we just need to move that curve out so it can actually mirror like so. And you can kind of get an idea of what the seat frame is going to look like now. Go ahead and turn clipping on that guy. Okay, then we'll tab out, and I'll just move that whole model over. About right there, centered there on that floorboard area, in between the drive shaft hump and the wall. Good to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and apply that mirror now. Cannot apply constructive modifiers on curve. Okay, so what I have to do first is go ahead and convert that to a mesh. And I guess it went ahead and added the mirror to it as I did that. So good to go. So what we need to do is actually combine this together. So I'm going to select all those, scale them on the x-axis 0%, and then I'm going to go hit W and say remove normals. And instead of going through and merging all those individual vertices together, just do that and it moves them automatically. So, all right, so this doesn't have a lot of resolution. If we add a subdivision surface, it would add a little bit to it. So we'll just let that do the hard work for us. I was going to go through and add some extra loops and things, but if you wanted to, you could just add, a couple of loops in the middles of all four sides there, because it's just basically a square tube. I guess we can go ahead and do that while we're at it. And don't really need one on the bottom, I don't guess. So we'll select those new ones that we just had, just added. If I can select the right one, there we go. And if we hit Alt-S, it'll round those out, like so. Scales them on the normals. Excuse me. Okay, so now that that's an actual mesh, we can come into edit mode and go ahead and add a cube. There we go. It's way too big. Scale that way down. And we'll make this the seat first, so let's go ahead and flatten that out and move it into position. I used to have a Jeep Wrangler, and I showed it to my grandfather, he served in the World War II, and I asked him if he wanted to go for a ride in, and he said, no, I'll never ride one of those again. Apparently they're not that comfortable, so he had to ride in them all the time in the Army back when he was in. So, good times. Alright, so let's get that down onto that frame a little better. Maybe add a little bit of a curve to it. Probably doesn't have a lot of curve, but we'll just add some just so it fits the frame a little better. Okay. Alright, so that's looking alright. I'd like to have it a little sharper there on the top, a little more squared off, like so. Okay, now we'll duplicate this, and use it for the seat back. So I'm going to Shift D, duplicate that, and let's just rotate it about like so. And then manually put it to the back there. Okay, now we'll go to top view and add a line down the middle. So we can kind of put a little bit of a concave area there. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so now we have a seat in there. So that looks pretty good, I guess. It's not really hanging on anything. Let's take a look at our reference again, see if we can see what the backs of it looks like. I guess it sets down on the bed. So, okay, here's a good reference. We can see that the actual bed comes forward even further, actually all the way up to under the seat. So we'll need to modify our bed a little bit. So I'll tell you what we can do. Let's go ahead and grab... Boy, this would have been a lot easier. Should have looked at the reference first, huh? Before we went any further with that, but oh well, hindsight. Okay, so we'll select that and drag that up. Tell you what, let's hide the seat for now so we can see what we're doing a little better. And looks like the frame's coming up through the floor. I was wondering what that was. It's the frame, okay. Makes sense. Let's select this whole floor panel. There we go. And is that the other part too? I believe so. Okay. Let's go ahead and select the inverse. Hide that so we can work exclusively with that. And what we want to do is basically have this area here come forward all the way to there. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's go to our side view and let's turn off our there we go. I just want to select these edges here and see if I can just move those forward. See what that would look like. It doesn't change a whole lot. I think I would need to select these as well. You know what? Let's just do some cheating here. Let's grab our frame, unhide everything, grab our frame, make sure that's down below the floor panel. And grab these two vertices right here and right there. And then come up here to the front and select these guys. Let's just drag those down until they're below the floor panel. Good to go? Good to go. All right. So, like I said, let's just cheat. Cheaters never win. My gym teacher always said. But anyways, we'll just extrude some floor panel, some seat holders, seats. Alt H, unhide that, and we'll just tab in here, and we'll just move this line up here until it gets to right there where we want it, and then we'll just select the faces underneath. Let's go and select them on this side since that side's kind of hidden by the chair. Okay, like so. And let's extrude those up on the Z-axis there. Okay, then we'll add a loop around the tops and maybe one more loop around the front and one around the back. Okay, so that's not actually accurate, but I think it should be okay for our 3D model here. Now we got our chair all set. I'm going to add that to the mesh of the Jeep. Shift select that, Control J, join that. It automatically creates a mirror over on the other side. And 24 minutes in. I apologize, this one went quite a bit longer than I expected, but we got the seats done and the bumpers and the radiator. So next, all we really need to do, well, looks like we need to fix the bottoms of those chairs, those seats, but we just need to add the wheels and the tires, and then maybe the headlights and the steering wheel and all that extra fancy stuff. So, yeah, that's going to be it for part 6. I'll catch you in part 7.